Alright, so welcome to the third modeling tutorial video. For this one, we are going to model a wall lamp. So like the other two, we're going to create our new project folder, file project window, then you're going to create new, we're going to name this one wall lamp, make sure it's in the location where you can find it. Once it's there, once you select the location, we're going to go ahead and hit accept. And then set our project. So file, set project, make sure it's in the direction, the location that you want it. Select your folder, make sure it says it in the directory, and go ahead and hit set. Alright, so we're going to hit the spacebar to open up our different view options. For this one, I'm going to go into the side view, hover my mouse over, hit the spacebar, and then we are going to import our image. So view, import plane, import image, find our image here. We're going to select wall lamp. It'll be this one here. So we're going to go ahead and open it. So you can see it pulls in. I'm going to go into my perspective view. I'm going to move it and scale it so it'll be a little bit easier for us to model. Make sure it is above our horizon, our x-axis, and then like it was in the previous tutorial, we are going to go to our attribute editor and we're going to select the looking through camera to make sure it is only seen in our side view. That way we don't have to worry about seeing it in our perspective view. So hitting spacebar, we're going to go to our side view here. So seeing the image, we can see that the base isn't exactly side view, but which is fine. We can still work with it and create that base that we want. And then in this, along with this tutorial, I will show you how to use curves and how we can extrude off of curves. So first, we are going to create our base. So going to create polygon primitives, we are going to use a cylinder to create our base. And then you can see our cylinder is here. And under the channel box, we are going to go, let's move it, minimize it a little bit. Under the inputs, polygon cylinder, we are going to go to subdivision access and hit 8. Bring it down to 8. In animation, usually having it in 8 is going to be easier for you. It's kind of our lucky number, but it'll help you in modeling in general if you're like trying to combine things together, and that it'll make it easier to keep that even geometry. So after bringing that cylinder to a subdivision of 8, I'm going to hit W on the keypad to bring out our move option. I'm going to go ahead and bring it around this base area. And under, I believe it'll be rotate Z. Let's take a look. Or it'll be our X. I apologize. So if we hit R or E for your rotate option, you can see that it has different colors to let you know the direction of our axis here of all the different axes. We are going to select the red one to rotate it on its side this way. So we want to make sure that it's 90, so if you take a look under your channel box, under rotate X, you can see the numbers here. We are going to select -90 to make sure it's an even 90-degree angle. So then what we're going to do next is we're going to hit R to scale it up a little bit. That right there should be good. Kind of match it a little bit. Kind of even it out to where that base is. I'm going to go to under shading and turn on the X-ray so I can see what I am doing as I am trying to match it to the reference image. So then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to grab, still with having it under the scale option, I'm going to select the little green cube here, click and hold, and I'm going to drag it about right there for the thickness that we want the base to be. And then what we're going to do is we're going to select that face, and there's a little bit of a roundness. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of extrude it to bring it in a little bit to kind of help create that roundness. So I'm going to right click on the object, go to faces. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you a trick how we can select faces in our side view, is if you click and hold and drag on this edge here, you can see that we have all these faces selected here. Even though we can't see it, the front side of this edge here will be selected. Then if we hold Control and highlight over, it'll deselect it, but you can still see that how this the scale tool moved. It's still informing you that the faces are on the very side here are selected. So if I go to perspective view, you can see here how they are selected. So going back to our side view with those faces selected, I'm going to go ahead and extrude those faces. So going under Edit Mesh, going to Extrude, we're going to pull it out just a little bit. Right there should be good. Then I'm going to hit R to bring out our scale option, and hitting the middle cube so we can scale it equally, I'm going to bring it in. As you can see, those edges are angling in. I'm going to put it about right there. And then that way we are starting to create this little piece here. So I'm going to go into my perspective view now. Or it might even be in our front view. If we hit F, it'll bring it here, but unfortunately it is facing the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our perspective view, and I'm going to hit G to go back to our extrude option. And if we hit one of these cubes here, the little middle one will pull up as an option. So we are going to select that middle cube, and we are going to scale till about right here should do. So that way we can start building the base of this area here. Now that we have the shape that we want, we are going to hit G to hit a new extrude, and we are going to pull it out just a little bit, as it looks like we have a little edge here. I'm going to pull it out about right there, make it a little bit thicker. Then I'm going to go back to our perspective view here. We're going to hit G again to create a new extrude. I'm going to go ahead and hit R for this one, and we are going to scale it down. About that thickness should do. Hitting spacebar and going back to our side view, we are now going to extrude it to create the rest of that little base there. So hitting G, we are going to move it about, we'll go right here, just so we can reach this edge here. So I'm going to go ahead and go into our object mode so we can take a look. Kind of got our base going on right there. So now what we are going to do next is we are going to take a curve and we are going to, by going to the side view here, we are going to use a curve to create this shape here. And then we will take a cylinder to extrude off of that curve so we can create that shape for the base into the main lamp area. So to use the curve, or how to bring in the curve, we are going to go to the Create option. And where it says Curve Tools, we are going to go ahead and select the CV Curve tool. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on our wireframe so we can see. So shading, wireframe, make sure you select it. And right where the base that we created, we're going to go ahead and try and follow this line direction. So just kind of put some points. Kind of make it look like it's following. Put enough points to kind of create that basic shape. I'm going to go to W to select out of it. So as you can see, we kind of have that main base shape. I'm going to go ahead and right click on that curve and go to Control Vertices and kind of just move them around to kind of build more of that shape. Make sure you hit the dots. You select the dots in order to move them. I think the rest looks pretty good. Kind of got my main shape with the curve. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my perspective view. Make sure it is where I want it. So we want it exactly off the center here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to object mode. Kind of get out of that option there. You can see our curve is right here. So then what we're going to do, we are going to create, let's see. So it looks like it'll be all one piece. So then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our base right here. And then we are going to go to right click, hold, and go to our face option. So it looks like our faces are still selected. I accidentally unclicked it, so I'm going to select them all. Remember, select one, hold shift to select multiple faces. Make sure they're all selected, no other faces are selected. Perfect. So then we are going to go ahead and do extrude to bring it in a little bit more. So we're going to go to edit, extrude, hit the little cube, one of the little cubes, so we can bring out that center one. Select the center cube and bring it in a little bit. About right there should do. So then what we're going to do is while those faces are still selected, we are going to shift select the curve. That way, when we extrude, it should hopefully extrude along the curve. If not, then what we will do is we will select a separate cylinder and select to extrude it. But we'll see how this goes first off and see if it does what we want it to. So it does not, which is perfectly fine. Oh, kind of went further back than I wanted to. I'm gonna grab those faces real quick. And I'm going to extrude those in real quick. About right there. So then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to separate these faces. So I'm going to go back and select these 8 faces. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go under Mesh, and I'm going to select Separate to make it its own object. And for some reason, that did not work. Alright, well, then we will go do the other option. We're going to go to Create, Polygon Primitives. We're going to go to Cylinder. Like before, we're going to bring it down to 8. And we are going to bring it up. Go under our Rotate X and make it -90 to make sure it's in the direction that we want it. And we are going to try and scale it down to the length that we wanted it. We'll probably use perspective here to try and best match it. So I'm going to go to Shading, turn on Wireframe. That way I can try and make sure that the size matches as best as it could. So it looks like it's a little bit smaller than what we wanted. So we're going to go ahead and hit R for the scale option, and we're going to scale it up just a little bit more. Right there should be good. Alright. Kind of move it out just a little bit more. If it's penetrating it, that's completely fine. Then what we are going to do is I am actually going to move this curve a little bit. Alright, so I want to move this curve, but as you can see, the move tool is down here. So what we're going to do to make sure we can move the curve is we are going to go to Modify, and go to the option that says Center Pivot. That way it moves our little pivot point for the object back to where we want it. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of slightly move toward that until the curve matches that center of the object right there. Perfect. So what we're going to do next then is selecting this new cylinder. We are going to go to Faces, select those faces, and once all those faces are selected, we're going to Shift select the curve. And then we're going to go to Edit Mesh and hit Extrude. So as you can see, the face extruded to at the very end of the curve, which is what we wanted. So once that happens, in our channel box area, you can see all of these different all these little separate channel boxes, tabs, and we're going to scroll down to where it says Division. Now if you left click on the name to highlight it, and go into the negative space here, we are going to middle mouse until our mouse turns into 2 arrows with a dot, and we are going to move towards the right side. As you can see, it's starting to add more divisions for us. I think that amount looks pretty good right there. I'm going to go to Object Mode. I think it looks pretty good. And so the next thing that we're going to do is make sure we get rid of the connection of the object to the curve. So what we're going to do is select the little neck part of our lamp, and we're going to go to Edit, Delete by Type History. That way it's not connected to the curve, so if you move the curve, it will not move this object. So then now, what we're going to do, go back to our side view. It's a little bit thicker, that's completely fine. And we are going to go to vertices. We're going to grab these vertices and we are going to try and fix it to where it is straight. So about right there should be good. I think what we'll do is we'll hit R and kind of scale it down a little bit to about right there. Maybe grab these here and just scale it down just a little bit. Alright. I think what we might need is to add one more edge loop right here to kind of help create that roundness that we want. So going to Edit Mesh, Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. I'm going to create that new edge, and I'm going to take E, to rotate it a little bit, kind of fix it up here. I'm going to put it about right there, and then I'm going to go back to vertices and rotate that back till it is straight. Probably have to move it a little bit. There we go. Alright, I think that will work so far for our neck piece. So now we are going to take the neck that we created and build the base of the lamp shape here. So going under perspective, we are going to select faces. And we are going to start extruding to start building up the rest of this base. So going under Edit Mesh, you're going to hit Extrude. I'm going to go ahead and start using my hotkeys for this part. So I'm going to go ahead and hit R for the scale option. And we're going to scale it. And as you can see, the lines expanding, that's kind of what we want. So we're going to align it. So as we look closely, you can watch the lines moving. We're going to scale it to about the edge of the lamp part here. Then what I'm going to do, because it looks like it kind of rounds a bit, I'm going to use W to turn on the move tool. I'm going to angle it down just slightly. So once we have that, go ahead and hit G to reenact the extrude option. I'm going to go ahead and hit W for my move tool, and I'm going to pull it down to about right here. So where it looks like the edge of the next section is here. So then, same thing, we're going to hit G again. We're going to hit R this time. Using the middle cube, we are going to scale it out to about, looks like about right here, almost at about the edge here. And I'm going to use that move tool again, and I'm going to angle it down slightly. And then I'm going to hit G, hit W again for that move tool. And I think what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to hit R and kind of scale it out a little bit more to kind of help create that roundness that we want. Just till about a little over the edge, which is fine, but you can see it angles a little bit on the side edges here. So then we are going to hit G for our extrude option. I'm going to hit W for move, and we are going to move it down till we hit the base here. Looks about good. And we're going to be repeating ourselves like we did with the other pieces. I'm going to hit G, I'm going to hit R for the scale option. I'm going to hit the middle one. I'm going to be scaling it out just a little bit. I'm going to hit W. Actually, this time, I don't think we're going to scale it down. We are just going to hit G again. And then I'm going to move it down. And I'm going to hit R to kind of scale it to create that round part. So even though some of this might not match, it's okay if it's slightly off. Nothing is completely perfect when stuff are made. So now that we have it angled, where we want it. We're going to hit G. Going to hit W for the move tool. I'm going to go about right here, where this little kind of rounds off right here. I'm going to go about right there. And I'm going to hit R for scale. It's okay if it goes a little bit above, or this area doesn't round it. We can fix that later. And then we are going to hit G to enact the extrude option again. Then I'm going to hit W to bring out my move tool. And then I'm going to move it about right there where this section is. I'm going to hit R. Make sure you hit the middle square, and we are going to scale it to about right there. Again, if it doesn't match completely on this side, that's fine. And then what we're going to do, we're going to hit G to extrude again. I'm going to hit R to scale. Make sure you select the middle cube. We're going to extend it to about the edge of this area here. We're going to hit G to extrude again. And then we're going to do W to move it down. And for now, I think that will do for our basic shape. Now we are going to use edge loops to kind of shape this section a little bit more. So we're going to do Mesh Tools, Edge Loop, and we are going to start forming that shape. So after you create a new edge, I'm going to hit R for scale, and I'm going to kind of scale it a little bit to kind of start forming it. Now you don't want to worry about too much. You just want to kind of create a little bit of edges to kind of create a very blocky form of it. So then I'm going to hit Y to bring back the edge loop. It looks like we got a little bit right here, so I'm going to select that one right there. I'm going to hit R. I'm going to scale in a little bit, kind of help create the little block version of it rounding off. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Y again for the edge loop, and I'm going to add one about right there. Okay, so let's go to perspective view. I'm going to hit W to get out of the edge loop option. So we can see our shape of the wall lamp is coming together pretty nicely. What we want to do is create the hollow piece where our light will be. So we're going to go to Faces, right click hold on the object, and select Faces. We're going to select our faces here. Make sure no other faces are selected. And we are going to extrude, edit mesh, extrude. Make sure you hit one of the little squares to bring out the middle square. Select your middle one, and we are going to scale it about, let's say about right here. So then what you're going to do next is we are going to extrude again by hitting G. I'm going to use the side view to help for this next part. So we're going to go to our side view. And I'm going to go ahead and hit W for the move tool. And we are going to bring it about probably where the line is for here. I'm going to go ahead and take R for our scale, hit the middle square, and we're going to scale in to about right there, so we have about an even amount. I think that should do. That way we created the in space. that we wanted. So now it looks like we are going to create the next piece that we're going to create is for the light itself. So still having these faces selected, using our side view to help, we are going to hit G to extrude again. I'm going to hit W for my move tool. I'm going to move it about right here. I'm going to use R to kind of scale in a little bit. Actually, you know what? Control Z that. We are going to do Edit Mesh, Extrude, hit those cubes, hit the middle one, and we're going to scale in just a little bit more. About right there. That way we'll be able to have space to hold the main light piece that we're going for. Okay, once we have that, we're going to hit G again. I'm going to use W for the move tool, and I'm going to scale down to about right there. I'm going to hit R to kind of scale in a little bit to kind of help create a roundness to it. So not too much, just a little bit. About right there should be good. Kind of follow, and it might look a little dark, but we kind of see a little bit of a shape that's what we're going to use to create. So hit G to enact your extrude option again. Going to hit W, bring it down about right here. Going to use R, bring it in, about right there. Going to hit G for my next extrude. Going to use W, going to bring it down about right here. We're going to hit G again. W for move. Bring it down about right here. About kind of where this line is. We're going to do R for scaling. And we're going to scale it out about right here. Kind of where the edges will match here. So then what we're going to do next is we're going to do extrude by hitting G. I'm going to hit W for our move tool. I'm going to bring it down about right here. Now we're going to try and create this round part. We're going to hit G for extrude. Going to do W. Going to go about right here. Going to hit R for the scale. Hit the middle square. Bring it in. And then lastly, we're going to do it one more time. We're going to hit G for extrude. W for the move tool. Line it to where the bottom is right here. Hit R for the scale. Select your middle square and bring it in about right there. So now we take a look. We have our lamp so far. It's looking pretty good so far for the base model. I'm going to go ahead and select Object Tool so I can kind of move around and look at it more. So now basically at this point is adding the edge loops in the areas where we want to hold that tension. So we're going to select this base here. We'll go ahead and do this one first. We're going to do Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop. I'm going to select, put an edge here to hold the base. I'm going to put one about right here. And because we kind of hopefully will get that round part here, we're going to put an edge loop about right there. We're going to put one here to start holding off the pieces that we want to keep that shape. Hold those corners. Don't put them too close, kind of help create somewhat of a roundness to it. Right there. then we will add one right there. And that'll do it for the base shape. So if I hit W to kind of get out of my edge loop option, and I go to object mode, if I hit 3, you can see we have that roundness that we are looking for. It looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and select it again, and I'm going to hit number 1 to bring it back to the block version. Now I'm going to select the rest of the lamp, and I'm going to hit Y for the extrude option again. I'm going to put a line right here to hold it, hold that edge piece right there. We don't need any edge loops here. We already have the roundness that we want, but we do want to hold one, place one right here to hold this corner here. Place an edge loop right there. Place one right there to hold this edge. Oops. Just like we did with the base, we're going to go to each edge. Again, don't put too close so we can kind of create some of that round, not too sharp of an edge, and place them where we want to hold it. So we'll place one right here. We'll place one right here so we can keep this roundness. Place an edge loop there. Place an edge loop here. Again, avoid this one so we can kind of create that roundness. And then to kind of create this little curve here, we are going to place one right there. It is a little bit sharper in the image, so we'll place one right there. And we can always check too after we smooth it out to see where we still need to add edge loops. I'm going to go ahead and place one right here. Place it right there. And because there's a little bit around, we want this rounded, I'm going to avoid putting edge loops here. Don't want that. So we're just going to go towards the bottom and place an edge loop there. Place one here. I'm going to help create a round effect. And we'll go ahead and add an edge loop here. All these edges. Alright. Want to make sure we keep that shape. Get all the edges. Don't put it too close so they're not too sharp. Kind of get a little bit of a round. And then we'll place one about right here to hold this shape, but we won't put any right here to hopefully create that round, that it'll round when we smooth it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit W to get out of my edge loop option. I'm going to go to object mode so it highlights green, and I'm going to go ahead and hit 3. So we kind of got that a little bit nice roundness. So it looks like it is a little bit sharper than what we wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and hit select our lamp. I'm going to hit 1 to bring it back, and I'm going to probably get rid and see what it looks like without that edge loop. So I'm going to go to edges. I'm going to select that edge loop that I created. If you double click on that edge loop, that edge, it'll select the whole edge that goes around the object. I'm going to go under Edit Mesh, and I'm going to select the Delete Edge and Vertices option to get rid of it. So now let's take a look and see what it looks like now when we smooth it. There we go. Now we have that roundness that we want. So I'm going to go back to perspective view and then just unselect it just so we can take a look. I think that looks pretty good so far. I think that looks like our lamp. We'll smooth that base there, kind of take a look. I'm going to go ahead and go to shading. I'm going to unselect the wireframe and shaded. That way we can see a nice view of our wall lamp. So there we have it. There is our lovely wall lamp. And that concludes the third modeling tutorial. And again, make sure you always save your file. So file save as, save that scene. And then there you go. I will see you at the next modeling tutorial.